Welcome to the Chicago Home Partner Podcast. I'm Amanda McMillan. Along with my co-host Samuel Ciochon, we discuss the Chicago real estate market. Our goal is to educate you on what's actually happening out there and how it impacts your real estate goals.
All right, episode 12. We're here again.
We
Can
are
you believe it?
Back.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about it's almost a year, but not quite a year.
Yes.
We had so many questions, so much engagement that we're now doing it twice monthly. So thank you guys for tuning in and for sending great questions.
Yeah, it's been great.
They like us. Or they like you.
No, they like us.
Awesome.
Both of us. So what have you been up to?
Before that, you've been gallivanting again.
I have, yes. I feel like this summer has just been the summer of travel, which has been so fun. I did 2 weeks with a couple real estate agents that I know from all over the country, and we all went to Greece. And so that was super fun. And then I just did a conference down in Dallas, which had 6,000 of the agents that are in our coaching program.
Right.
Were all there. And so we learned a ton about AI. That is like the next thing that's going to come. Over my head. I am not a technology guy. I barely know. I mean, like, I can work my iPhone, but you ask me anything else, it doesn't work.
We got you, Samuel. We got you.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's one of those things that it's amazing because with where technology is in today's day and age, you were able to stay connected. You were able to keep doing business. You had the team support in it, and you rocked it. Yeah,
it was great. I mean, like, we literally put 3 properties under contract with our buyers when I was gone. So
fantastic.
I love when that happens.
So I have not been gallivanting to Greece.
What have you been doing?
I was very excited to get the kids back in school.
Love.
And I was even more excited that they were excited to get back in school. In fact, my weekend was made when my youngest, I woke her up the other day and she looked at me and she said, "Do you think it's going to be a fast day or a slow day?" And I said, I don't know.
That's the question she posed.
Yeah, that was the first question.
Oh my gosh.
6 years old. First question, fast day or slow day? And I said, I don't know why. And she goes, well, I really hope it's fast because I can't wait for it to be Monday again to go back to school. As a parent, that is a win.
What?
Win.
Oh my gosh.
Winning parenting that day, that moment for 5 minutes, we were doing something right.
Is she just a social butterfly and that's why she wanted to, or was she actually excited about the learning aspect? Because
I'm sure at 6, it's probably more social than anything else, but she's not my social butterfly. So it was just one of those moments that any parent tuning in understands that is one of those very basic wins that at least week 2, day 1, we're still excited about it.
Yes. Wait till week 3.
I'm not talking about that. Anyways, on that note, why don't we dive in? We've got lots of good questions to get into. And this first one, I think, is really a great one, right? Yeah. We're starting to look to new markets and new things going on. How has the market this summer been different than last summer?
I actually feel like it's been for me personally, I think it's been kind of the same. So last year we kind of saw it like kind of exhale, right? You know, we always talk about this every year. We have a really fast spring market and then it kind of exhales. I think the difference is typically August is a little slower, and I feel like this year has been pretty like hop-in. I mean, like all of our listings, it felt like we were kind of like trying to like get people, like pull people into the showings and get them to submit offers on our listings in July. And typically July is faster than August. I feel like this year it's been hitting it pretty quickly.
I think I'd agree with you. I think the first half of summer was very much as we predicted, right?
Yep.
We said that the weather would get good and people would get distracted. No surprise in that. We saw the engagement go down. Now, because we've had such limited inventory this year, we were still putting certain things on and certain things were definitely popping. But as I said, there were certain things that maybe would have gotten 5 to 8 offers 3 or 4 months ago. Maybe they were getting 1 to 3.
Yep.
So the intensity was definitely gone. But I think where I'm going to say I was a little surprised, and it sounds like you had the same experience, these last few weeks that we get towards the end of summer, right? When people are really trying to hold on to the best parts of our awesome city during this time of year, usually people are very distracted from real estate. Yeah. And I felt the same thing that you did, that our pulses were up, our showings started to go up, people's intensity started to go up, which was a little contradictory, not only with the time of year, but also with some of the things that interest rates were doing. So a good, pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
Now, the interesting thing will be is how does that then roll into our fall market?
Yeah, we were kind of talking about that last week.
Yeah,
but
I do think that our fall market's going to start faster.
Yeah.
And it may be a little bit quicker. So
it seems like in previous years, buyers have given up after the spring market because that's like, it's been hard. They re-signed their lease. And I think this year is the first year that I've had the conversations with them of don't give up. I mean, the inventory is the issue. And so that's been like the root cause of why they haven't done it. So if you re-sign your lease and then you wait another year, you're putting yourself in that same position. And I think people are finally savvy about it this year versus previous years that just keep at it. And you'll finally get the property, especially in this like a little bit less competitive time frame.
Well, you and I talk a lot about it, and it's one of those things that, right, we have a few more months left in this year.
Yeah.
And the reality is we have a lot of clients that target this time. In our opinion, there's going to be more opportunities perhaps for our buyers that didn't exist earlier in the year.
Yeah.
That's not to say that we're going to be flooded with inventory by any means, but we do see that the level of competitiveness falls back.
Yep.
The interest rates are definitely scaring some people off. And so there's some opportunities in that for certain.
So going back to your question, what do you think is going to happen with this fall market? Like, because it's been so busy this August.
So I think this fall market, in my opinion, is going to start quickly. Like we always expect, it starts, it sometimes takes a little bit, but I think it's going to start quickly. I think that it may be a little bit shorter or feel shorter just because of the quick start. Now, in my opinion, the wild card, I always say follows our wild card market in terms of what happens. I think that what could change the dynamic of the fall market comes down to interest rates. If we see the interest rates improve as we get later in the year, I think that could kick our market up and we could see an extra spike in it for certain. I think if we don't see that between now and the end of the year, we'll have a very quick market. And then it could feel a little sluggish towards the end. But as you and I always say, we sell homes 12 months a year. Yeah. I'm always negotiating in December. It's not as glamorous to be out and about doing it, but we certainly are.
Yeah.
So,
well, and thinking, like speaking to like just even the interest rates. So in Dallas, we like, you hear a lot of the economists like come and they talk about the market. And I thought the most interesting thing was predicting interest rates was like one of the big things. And we were talking about how Jay Powell like has no idea what the hell is going on himself. So like, how the hell are we supposed to know, right? So I thought it was an actual very like interesting
for certain
phrase that they put it.
Yeah. No, I mean, and we always joke and say, right, we follow economists. We follow people that know a whole lot more than
way more than we do.
Right. And there's obviously a lot of cross information. The good news is I think most economists on a bigger perspective, right? Within the next 18 to 24 months, there's a lot of positive outlook.
Yeah. I think there's
but the short term
is the one that we have no idea.
No. Buckle up, people. It's going to be a wild ride.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm super excited that once again, we are on location at a beautiful new listing, 1232 West Oakdale. I'm really excited by this one. We talk so much about how important the actual developer is. This was built by Environs Development. Environs has been a staple in our single family home luxury market for decades, absolutely decades. Lakeview, Lincoln Park, they built a beautiful home. This one was built just over 20 years ago, has only had 2 owners, which is really unheard of in our marketplace. I mean, I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah. It feels like people like love this house so much that they just like nest in it and then they never leave. Until they have to.
No, right? and all right, our clients, it's a job relocation, so it's certainly not by choice. They have loved it. The amount of space in here, the room size is phenomenal. It's got an amazing roof deck.
Yes. And that primary bedroom is like insanely large.
With the vaulted ceilings.
The vaulted ceilings, the fireplace, and even like the 2 walk-in closets.
There's 3 closets, 2 walk-ins and then the regular.
Yeah. The regular one.
You can bring all your crap. It's got a home for it. But anyways, we're really excited to be here. Hopefully, it won't be available very long, but it sure is great to be in such a beautiful place.
So, next question is, what's your guilty TV pleasure right now?
Oh, that's a good one. What's my guilty TV pleasure?
I know which one.
You know mine.
I'll make a prediction.
Okay.
Yellowstone.
Well, duh. That was.
Wait.
I'm so
probably.
Yeah, I'm so caught up on that. I can't say it's current. I mean, unless I start watching it for like a 3rd time. I love Yellowstone for certain. But I will say, if we're talking currently, I have 2, and they're on completely different sides of the spectrum. Number one, Emily in Paris.
Oh yeah.
I've been totally like sneak watching this when my husband's out of town because I don't think he would ever watch it. It's about the American marketing girl that's over in Paris. On the other side of the spectrum, I think on the History Channel, Alone. Have you watched Alone yet? Alone is the one where you have all the,
I've never even heard of it.
It's like the modern day Survivor where people are individually put on some remote deserted place where it's Arctic temperatures and they have to see who lasts the longest.
So it's like Naked and Afraid.
But they're clothed.
Oh, preferably.
Yes, they all have clothes on, but they're actually all they're people that are actually specific. Yes. They all come with some really strong skill set. Awesome. They have to literally come in and they have to build housing and they have to get food and they've got to forage and how do they hunt and how do they do it? And then obviously they're by themselves. I think most of the seasons have lasted between 60 and 80 days. And like these 0-degree temperatures, I would never, ever make it. But it's really
make it past day one.
No. I could be in it for a little bit. It's just the cold thing. I wouldn't do the cold thing. I think I'd be better in a more temperate climate.
Gotcha.
So those are my two right now. What about you?
Okay, well, I was a huge Sex and the City fan. I even had the pink book with every single like DVD.
So DVDs. Do you like the recoming of it?
So that's my new pleasure and Just Like That. As much as I hate the storyline, it feels really nostalgic to like watch all of your friends like in their older life. But I think like some of the storylines that they're doing really just like rub me wrong. But because
so it's like
of
a love-hate thing, right?
Yeah, because of that, I think I really like it. I think that's why it's a guilty pleasure.
Totally, you don't want to admit you like it, but
yeah, like I literally have Googled after to see like why they chose certain plot lines. Because I'm like, why are you doing this?
I get it. I love Sex and the City in its day.
Yeah.
The comeback of it, I didn't really get too interested in. It just didn't take off with me. But the original was.
I'm like, can we not grow as humans in this? Like, I feel like some things they like bring back. It was like the Will and Grace remake, like the remake of Will and Grace. They literally brought it back. Like they didn't grow. It was the same stuff. And I was like, all right,
I get it. Yeah, you gotta.
It's done.
Right. We're older. We're
like do something
maybe not wiser, but
just change it.
I get it. Okay, here's an interesting one. What do your clients look for in public schools?
So I actually don't have a ton of clients who have kids that are elementary age. So a lot of my clients actually don't think about public school at the moment.
Right.
It's like, all right, yeah, we're just gonna buy a house because we want to buy a house.
Education is not important.
No,
I'm kidding.
I mean, it is, but I have a lot of people who are like, okay, well, at this point, I'm going to move to the suburbs or talking about that stuff. It's not really, I mean, if I do have somebody, they already know what they're kind of looking for and they're actually open. I feel like most of our clients, or at least my clients, don't have a specific school that they're like kind of like trying to find.
The questions that I see most is trying to understand, first and foremost, the school systems.
Yep.
But I think there's a lot bigger conversations in that. So first and foremost, there's just the logistical aspects, right? Mm-hmm. Everyone comes to us and they're so worried about getting into the right school. There's a lot of rating systems. There's a lot of websites. As we always say, take them all with a grain of salt because there are some very, very popular, well-regarded schools that if you go online and you see their ratings, you probably wouldn't think that they were so popular for a reason. So I always say take that stuff with a grain of salt. I will say one of the things that I ask every teacher that I ever get the opportunity to work with, I always ask them what's important to them in schools because I think that they are one of the true tests. And usually their responses surprise me. I would say 90% of the time, they actually look to parent involvement. They see the parent involvement in a public school as one of the most important things, that if you have high parent involvement, the success of the students in the school and the success of the school is really important.
Yeah.
I think that there's some really important things to note in the sense that just logistics. Like I can speak personally, right? When we were looking to put our kids in school, first and foremost, there was only certain schools that we were going to drive to. So we had a radius of what made sense, knowing that we were looking outside of our personal district. It's commuting for certain. Just like when you were buying a house and you were how to get to work, how to get to school. A lot of people don't know that different schools, even within the same public system, start at different times. Because my husband is the person that drops the kids off. There was no schools that started before 8 a.m. that were
On the list.
No, it just wasn't happening. What time they end at obviously is related to that. Whether or not they have aftercare programs. Aftercare programs are programs where basically the kids can stay after school for a fee and be monitored and do things like that. I think the programs within the school are always important. And a lot of times the programs within the school are based on the size of the school and the funding of the school. Our oldest daughter went to kindergarten at a school that we were very, very excited about and had a great experience with. That being said, it was a very small school and they didn't have funding for a foreign language. So as a parent, that was something to me that I thought, well, I wanted my child to have access to a foreign language. I didn't want to really do it off of school. So it was one of those things that as we were starting to look a little bit more deeply, I realized that I had to have them at a larger school so that would actually become important in terms of that. Wow. So the programs that they offer.
What language are they learning?
Spanish.
Nice.
They've actually been in Spanish since daycare. So
dang.
Hopefully at some point it makes sense for them. But foreign language is a big deal. And plus all of the elementary schools typically only have one language if they offer any at all. So if that's something that's important to people, I think that's something that's important to note as well as some of the programs now one of the big tips that I give anybody looking, and this was something that went away during COVID, most of these schools do little open house tours. So if you go on the website, you can find out that once a month they will have an hour tour through the school.
Yep.
I say go to it, no matter how much research you do online. When you walk through a school and you hear how they present things, as a
opinion,
right? And I've actually had clients that are before even having any kids at all that are considering a longer term home. I say go to the school and walk through the tour and do those things just to make yourself more comfortable. And they always say, "Is it weird that we're doing it without a child?" Nobody knows. You can just show up and do those things for that perspective. So it's just all investigative work if people want to.
Okay, maybe a little too soon until you're like Uvalde or something.
Well, I'm saying there are certain people that look for longer term homes, or at least they think they're going to be in the homes longer term, and it's an important thing. But I think that there's a lot of things that people don't think about, and that's a great question.
I will wish my clients had more children.
Maybe we can do it. I don't think we could get away with an advertisement on that. That seems like against every code of ethics possible.
Yeah. Hey everyone, start procreating, please.
Or at least practicing to procreate.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope all of you are practicing procreating. Like, gosh, I hope so.
Right.
And that was the rated R version of our podcast today. Thank you very much.
We kept it very clean, all things considered.
We've tried so hard for so long.
Anyways,
all right.
Here's one. And I'm certain that this was probably sent in for you, not for me. But how do you say fit in such busy lives?
Oh, honey, you're fit. Trust me. Yes. What's that real cowgirls, like horse girls are crazy because they like always working out and being beat up and always getting back on it.
Something like that. That just means we're a little crazy and a little off. That doesn't mean fit.
No, in terms of like staying fit, I like to leave it as like a lifestyle. So I incorporate a lot of it into everything I kind of do. So it's I do triathlons. I like to personally sign up for an event, like for a race, and then that helps me like prepare.
Stay on course.
Yeah, it gives you something to kind of look forward to and kind of just like makes you accountable in that regard. But I eat well.
Yeah.
I try to get a lot of sleep. I know that's one of you're like a 5 hour. I'm like, I need my 8 hours. If I don't, then you will find me 20 minutes napping in the afternoon. Like I need a quick power nap. That is my thing. But yeah, I mean, like that's essentially.
I mean, that's like a huge ordeal in terms of like training for triathlons and Ironman and all those little itty bitty things. Yes. From that perspective. Now,
so what are you doing?
I do, for me, I agree with you. I think it's absolutely a lifestyle. I think the older that I get, the more I commit to it because the reality is I feel the effects of it more and more. I am not crazy about what I eat in terms of managing it, but I try and make smart choices. I don't say no to cake and ice cream. I do love sweets more than anything else. Candy is a food group. But once again, I'm making smart choices so that I don't feel bad when I do those things. Yeah. I am a Peloton girl. So I commit to that. I'm up to a 58-week streak. So I'm pretty proud of myself. Wow. Really happy about that. And for me, it's one of those things that, I would say that I bike probably 4 days a week. And then I do some bar classes. I do a lot of stretching and some yoga and stuff like that. I think the big thing that keeps me on track, because there's definitely weeks that I don't have time, and there's definitely weeks that I feel too much. Like, I literally just get myself to commit to a 10-minute something. Like, I can absolutely find. So even if it's a week that I'm like, no, I can't do it, I try and find 10 minutes to go strap myself on. And that might be it for the day, and I don't beat myself up for it. It may be something that a 10-minute then turns into something else, but I just try and do something 5 or 6 days a week, so that then once again I feel like I'm staying consistent in it. And once again, it's part of the lifestyle. I think a habit is formed in 30 days. So for me, it's more about not breaking that habit and keeping it consistent. Eating well, staying active. Obviously, I ride horses, and those types of things.
The 10-minute thing is like actually a really important thing, just because again, you're not missing it, but you just keeping
the habit there.
Yeah, but I was just in Dallas, and they had like a neuropsychologist come in and talk about happiness and like what all that was. And one of the things was just walking for 15 minutes, like literally like makes you so much happier if you do it like 5 days a week.
No, it's
like
so
walking
true.
for 15 minutes.
We all could do that.
Yes. But my favorite quote from you, I think ever, is, and I use this all the time, is, I stay in shape because of stress and stairs.
So
we were on a showing once and you said that, and I was like, I love that. The real estate diet, stress and stairs.
Stress and stairs. I probably could put coffee in there too. But yeah, I do a lot of stairs in a given day, and
we do a lot of stairs. Yes.
I like to think I manage a high level of stress. Manage is the key word.
This is why we have firm booties.
My girls don't agree with you on that, but I appreciate the sentiment. Okay, moving on.
At the beginning of the year, we made predictions. And so we made predictions on what the hottest neighborhood was going to be. You said Avondale, and I actually said Westridge. How are we doing in our predictions for 2023?
So our hottest neighborhood predictions for 2023, I think the hard part is that everything's been a little bit more challenging, because as we've talked about ad nauseum at this point, is that our inventory is still down. Yeah. So we are going to see overall numbers of transactions down in a lot of neighborhoods. So this is one of those metrics that's going to be harder to track. Yeah. But I'm looking at the general momentum and interest in an area. I said Avondale. I'm feeling pretty good about that prediction so far this year. Yeah. Everything that we've done in Avondale up until now has been very, very successful. All of our listings have sold in multiple bids. All of our buyers have unfortunately struggled a little bit in that. Yeah. When I drive up and down the streets, I'm actually seeing a lot of construction going on. I think I always say that, there's an area right near me that there's a tremendous amount of foundations being poured. Even right now, kind of people getting in, trying to get those foundations poured before we get too far into the end of the year. Yep. I feel pretty strong about where it's going, and that it's going to, at the end of the year, end up being definitely one of the ones that we're talking about the most. Yeah.
I agree with you about Avondale. I think it actually has had a really, really, really strong year. Yeah. I chose Westridge because obviously I thought it was it's a really quaint neighborhood. I think there's a lot of things that are happening in it. I don't think it's appreciating as much as kind of like Avondale. It's not like one of those where you're seeing a ton of new construction, but again, similar with all the other neighborhoods, I feel like inventory is really down. I feel like a lot of people are really moving there. The listings that we've put up there as well have gone pretty quickly.
Both we've done rentals
too. Listings. Yeah. So I mean, I feel like a lot of people actually really like the neighborhood and are kind of targeting it. So yeah.
No, I agree with you on Westridge. I still think that the pulse in it is very strong. Yeah. But I think you bring up a great point. The actual numbers in Avondale are
stronger.
I mean, it's a different market for certain. We can't compare the two. But I think the growth in the numbers year over year, when the dust settles at the end of the year, I think that some of the prices, I even kind of scratch my head and go, really? That feels a little excessive. Some people have tried a little excessive. Usually they're getting called out. But overall, especially I would say the single family home market in Avondale is definitely bumping.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different things in Westridge too. The multifamily homes, I feel are doing insane. But again, there's also
the not 2 to 4 units.
Yeah, you're just how are you getting these pricing? It feels very fast paced. Yeah. So I mean, that's really exciting.
So the question is, are you staying course? Are you committing to Westridge for for the second part of the year? Or I should say the rest of the year.
I will probably change my answer. It probably wouldn't be Westridge. I think there are a couple other neighborhoods that are, if we talk about outperformance, I think there's going to be other markets that
are we having commitment issues, Samuel?
I always have commitment issues.
I'm committing to Avondale for the rest of the year.
Yeah. You've been in your house for 17 years. You're married from a guy you met in your early 20s. Like, you commit. You're good. Here I am.
I don't like change.
I love change.
On that note, let's move on. Well, this is a fun one. I love when we get good fun ones. What's your favorite place in the city to see live music?
So I am a concert person.
Yes.
I love going to concerts. There are so many good venues, I think, in the city of Chicago.
Yes. And
I don't know. It's so hard to pick a favorite. I'm actually really interested in Salt Shed.
Have you been there yet?
Yeah. So I went to a concert. I just randomly picked one just to go to the venue. And I have one coming up in the next week. So that'll be really exciting.
So what did you think?
Cute. It is amazing. Like the interior.
I don't know if cute was what they were going after when they built it.
Well, I thought it was like a really nice space.
Nicely done.
I think they did a really great job. There's 2 venues there.
Okay.
So they have an indoor venue and an outdoor venue. Mm-hmm. And they actually created this like little shopping center, which is like kind of like a market. And they have like all these like little vendors. I mean,
how are the acoustics in there?
I thought the acoustics were really good. Yeah.
I mean, I'm a little bit of a concert snob in that, admittedly.
Yeah. I mean, so I've only gone to one concert there. It was really fun. So I'm excited to explore it a little bit more.
We haven't been yet. I'm very excited to go. I was a little bummed because there was somebody that I wanted to see there in the beginning of the year, and it just didn't come together. And I haven't found
tickets sell out fast.
Do they? Yeah, I just haven't found anybody that I probably knew. There are a lot more hit bands going there now. So just kind of waiting for the right opportunity. But I've heard really good things.
I would just go. Like the tickets actually weren't that expensive, and literally it's a really nice venue. Just even check it out.
Awesome. So for me, I agree with you. Like I love going to live music. There is nothing like it. The energy, the pulse, the people. It's just such a good way to experience anything. I think we are spoiled rotten with how many great music venues we have. I have been incredibly surprised. I was a little bit of a cynic when they started. I think Wrigley Field is a great place to see a concert. There are certain places where the acoustics are not good in there once you figure that out, but just the energy there tends to be amazing, especially on a good hot summer night.
There have been an influx of concerts there.
Right.
I mean, even just this last week, it was Jonas Brothers, Guns N' Roses. Pink was there all in 1 week.
Yeah.
I'm like, they are doubling down.
No.
Wasn't it just they used to have 2 concerts a year?
I think they started slowly, and I think just people have loved it. I think, I always forget the name of it, Northerly Island?
Northerly Island is
I think that's a great place. It's a little bit of a pain in the butt to get to.
Yep.
But I actually think the venue is great. You're kind of out by the lake there. It's just a really, really neat place to go. Obviously, we've got a lot of smaller venues like the Vic and the Metro, which if you see the right people there, it's incredible.
Lincoln Hall is always really good.
That's good. Yeah.
I love House of Blues. I mean, it's kind of a it's kind of shitty, but I always I love it because you always have the best when you have like a person that you really want to see.
Right.
I think it's intimate. I think it's really cute, but I mean, it's just old.
I would say the only thing that I think could be done better right now, I'm not a fan of the United Center for concerts. My last few experiences I've had a great time at the concert, but I don't know if it's just the venue or the sound. It hasn't been as good as I would have liked. That's the only thing I'd put out there.
I just saw Dua Lipa there, and I just saw Sam Smith there.
Yes.
And it's nice, but it feels so big. It just feels cold.
Yeah, there's something about it. Anyways, for me, it's a little bit the acoustics. I saw Thomas Rhett there a few weeks back, which was a great concert, but it was one of those things that I just in terms of having so many great choices out there, it's one that I think they can.
I prefer the smaller venues.
Oh, totally. So that's a fun one.
Nice. All right. Last one.
Ooh.
New bike lanes in the city. Love them or hate them?
I feel a little mixed on the topic. I have to look for purely selfish reasons on what I do more. There is me as a consumer in my car all the time, And then there's me as a parent who has kids that bike to and from school every so often into camp and stuff like that. Overall, I think that they're probably a really good thing for the city in the sense that they are protecting the bikers.
Yep.
I think trying to encourage more people to bike overall is better for our environment, better for our city. There's a lot of good things that come from it. The way that it's being implemented has been really, really challenging because there's certain streets where they've literally gotten rid of an entire lane to basically recreate these bike lanes and make it safer for them, which I am glad they're doing that, but I just fear that we're just making certain parts of traffic more congested. And you know, I'm personally affected by it because I'm facing so many of the places. The other thing that, and if those of you, so I know they're just starting to implement them more and more in the city, we're not seeing them everywhere. The other thing I can't quite figure out is it's really easy to navigate and understand right now during the summertime, but let's get to February, let's put a blanket of snow on everything. I don't know how they're going to really shovel the snow, plow them on these bike lanes because they're tiny little spots, so to say. And then there's also these really big curbs that are being built that I think that it could just cause problems if they're not properly identified. So I'm a little interested to see how we weather our first winter with them. You're more of a biker.
I'm a biker, and honestly, I like a lot of the bike lanes. I use them pretty frequently. I use the ones downtown frequently.
Okay.
So the fact that they put them all downtown is really nice. Like the one on Dearborn, the one on Washington, like those are all really nice ones. I don't really use the other ones outside of it.
Yeah.
Because I don't. But I feel like I'm an urban biker, and so I zip in and out of traffic all the time on my bike, and I've only gotten doored once. Think that's a win. I'm fine with it.
No, and as I said, my girls like to bike to school, which is obviously an activity I want to encourage. I think it's great.
Yeah.
But there is an immense amount of fear from when my girls leave with my husband on their bikes until I know that they get there safely, just because obviously there's a lot of people not paying attention on their phones. So I think making it safer is definitely a great thing. I'm just questioning if the way they did it is going to be the most successful outcome. But I'm sure there's people that have studied this at nauseum, and this is what came up as the best idea.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay. Well, I think that's all we've got for today.
That was the episode.
Absolutely. Well, until next time, Chicago.
Yeah, until next time.